Hello, Guru Nation. Welcome back to a very special and important episode. It's about you getting jobs, it's about job opportunity. Shout out to future CRA Academy student Jaja for inspiring this particular episode. But it's not really about him, it's about him and all of you. So I received a tip today from someone on Instagram who's really well established in this industry, several decades in, and basically it's great news for everybody. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense that what she's saying is right. So basically, I posted something on my Instagram. If you're not following on Instagram, you're missing out on stuff like this. So I posted this on my Instagram. One of our students just got hired. He says, I start this week, 1 week training, and then to the site. I'm really excited doing COVID stuff. So somebody replied, who's an experienced CRA. She's actually in my Patreon group. She's also a site owner. And she said, hey, Dan, let your students know to apply at Icon and really just about every CRO, but especially Icon for some reason right now. But all the big CROs, so IQVIA, PPD, Icon, Cineos. Okay, I'm actually going to do a video where I'm reviewing these different companies based on their public profiles. So I'm going to go on ZipRecruiter and see if there's reviews, Glassdoor, see if there's reviews, kind of do stuff like that. But to me, they're all the same, more or less. You just want to get started. Basically, this person told me the CROs are really struggling right now because most of their staff have been allocated to COVID studies. This is the perfect opportunity. If they get the job, they owe me a coffee. So if you follow this advice and get a job, all right, you owe somebody that you don't even know a coffee. But okay, let's get serious here for a second. They're not just going to hire anybody. Just because the CROs need people, because their more experienced staff are being allocated to COVID studies, does not mean that they are going to hire just the next resume that they see. They still need somebody who knows the fundamentals of research. Okay, so for those, this is why this is perfect for the students in the CRC Academy, in the CRA Academy. We prepare them in our courses with the 3-month course and then the internship, which gives you real study experience on your CV. So in the CRA Academy, we have a breast cancer study that all interns in the CRA Academy get to do. And we're opening up 2 COVID studies now for the next wave of students, the next wave of interns. So you still need some kind of experience. The thing is, these CROs cannot be picky anymore and say, hey, we only want people with 2 years or more of experience. I mean, they may still say that, you might still see that, but what they really mean by that is we need somebody who we don't have to train from scratch. So we don't want somebody who has no idea what clinical research is. They need to know the fundamentals, and they need to even preferably have some working knowledge of the fundamentals. This is exactly why a lot of our students are getting hired, and even the ones who haven't been getting hired yet, they've been getting interview after interview. For whatever reason, maybe there was a better candidate that they interviewed that came along, but if given enough tries, given enough at-bats, they're going to get it too, because it's supply and demand. It's just the market is in our favor right now. If you are a job seeker, the market is in your favor. Same thing, by the way, if you are a research site or you're a physician that wants to start doing research studies, but you don't have the experience. It's never been a better time. We did a webinar. Chris and I did a Site Owner Academy webinar on this. It's never been a better time to be a research naive investigator. So this particular episode is for the group, for the job seekers out there. It's never been a better time also to be a research job seeker, specifically one that is seeking a CRA or seeking a coordinator role, or maybe even a trial master file specialist, or an in-house CRA, or a clinical trial manager, or there's different titles. And don't get hung up on the titles. Every organization seems to have a different title for the same job. So I've seen clinical trial administrators, I've seen clinical trial associates, I've seen in-house CRAs, which all do the same thing. So the way you get around the titles and don't get confused by the titles is you look at the job descriptions. So look at the job descriptions, see what they say. They're all going to focus on three things, right? They're either going to focus on, and they might focus on one, two, or all three of them. They're going to either focus on source documentation and review, regulatory, or investigational product. I mean, that's really in research all that there is, right? We teach all these things in both the CRA and CRC Academy, but those are the three main things that there are. There's nothing else that they may need help with. Sometimes they want you, like they'll hire you to help their in-house CRA, so you'll be like an assistant to an in-house CRA. But at the end of the day, what that in-house CRA is doing is primarily regulatory stuff, right? They're looking at investigator site files and the copies, the essential documents, and they're uploading those into the trial master file system, and they're tracking it in a log to see who's missing what training for which version of the protocol at which site still needs the latest protocol amendment training, which site needs the informed consent latest updated version. This is what they're training. Which doctor at which site has an expired medical license, who has an expired good clinical practice certificate, and on and on and on. So that's regulatory, right? All that stuff that I just said is really regulatory. That's what that is. If you're a CRA, not an in-house CRA, but a CRA, like a CRA that goes out, you're going to also focus on source documentation, source data verification, source data review. So what that's going to mean is you got to be familiar with Alcoa-C. You got to be familiar with the protocol. You got to be familiar with good clinical practice. You have to know what a deviation is and what to do when a deviation occurs. You have to know about the informed consent process. You have to know documentation, progress notes. If we're getting into specific therapeutic areas, you've got to know just a little bit about those therapeutic areas. Like if it's oncology, you have to know CTCAE, you've got to know RECIST criteria, you've got to know staging, TNM staging, things like that. If it's the therapeutic area indication specific stuff, you can actually just go on Google Scholar or clinicaltrials.gov and look up studies of that indication and just read the studies. Like read the abstract, read the synopsis, read the inclusion exclusion criteria, look at the endpoints, look at the primary endpoints, look at the secondary endpoints. It helps if you have a working knowledge, just even a little bit of working knowledge about this stuff that is better than what your competitor knows, because then you're going to stand out in the interview. And luckily for us, our students from our academies, when they get into these interviews, they tend to do well. First of all, the CV, because we do the CV for them, opens up a lot of doors to them, so they get more opportunities that way. And then they get a chance to talk about what they know, what they've done, and then it's up to the interviewer to see if they're the right fit. They're not always the right fit on the first interview. They're not always right fit on the third interview or the 10th. Sometimes it takes 15, 20. Eventually, though, it's just a numbers game. The market is in your favor. This is what you should be doing right now. You should be going on all the job boards, ZipRecruiter, Career Builder, Indeed, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, and looking at all the different, just put clinical research. Just type in clinical research, start applying, because the big CROs, like this person who sent me this tip, she's actually in my Patreon channel. I know her really well. CROs are struggling to find people. There's never been more studies in the history of research than there is right now, and a good chunk of those studies and a good chunk of the workforce, which has been a shortened workforce from the beginning. It's always been low supply, high demand for CRAs and also for CRCs, clinical research coordinators. It's compounded even more. There's even more of a demand and even shorter shortage, even less of a supply of these people because of COVID. Because COVID created so many new studies, so many new research opportunities. A lot of the human resources had to be allocated to COVID. So now you still have all the other studies like Alzheimer's, postpartum depression, arthritis, ulcerative colitis. All these kind of studies still need to go on, still need CRAs, still need coordinators, still need investigators, still need patients. If you are trying to enter the industry, it's never been a better time. So take this advice and run with it. Let me know if you've used this advice and if you're able to land interviews and then able to land a job. And really, really consider the CRA and CRC academies. We created those things because we know that it's going to be designed, like they are literally specifically designed for the marketplace that we're in right now. They are designed to get your foot in the door and to give you a working knowledge to be able to really stand out at these interviews and get that opportunity that you need through our internship program. And so our internship program has been generating a lot of buzz in the industry because a lot of our students have been getting hired. So take that. You don't necessarily need to do the academies. We definitely make it a lot easier for you. But you can also gain some internship experience at research sites near you. I've done videos on how to get research sites to take you on as an intern. Just get the experience, get the knowledge any way you can. Find a way to demonstrate the value that you have when you get to the interviews, and then go out and get those jobs.